My name is Michael Blake. I'm the son of Jamaican immigrants. My family, we grew up in the Bronx. Youngest of 4 boys. My mom raised us all, as did my dad. I come to you as someone who was a K through 12 public school graduate. I went to Northwestern University, had the opportunity to work for President Barack Obama. I worked for him for 6.5 years. I led minority women business outreach in the White House, which, to your question, we were very focused on how do we make sure that AAPI businesses were able to get more access than they had before. It was the greatest increase that happened to AI business in federal dynamic. I was an assemblyman for 6 years, where I created the My Brother's Keeper program. And that's why I'm so grateful to be here at CACF, because we are still the only state in the country to have a My Brother's Keeper program specifically focused on what is happening around graduating more students of color to go to school and graduate from school. I'm running for mayor because we have a very clear vision on how we can stand up for the community. First, we need to make sure that we're being attentive in all different degrees, whether it be language access, not just through what's happening in oral translation, but in written word, because it's not fair and it's not right that too many documentations are only in English. Second, it's being attentive to all of our communities, all of our faiths. So that means, how can someone have the opportunity to have their child pray every single day, not just on Fridays, making sure we have food that is culturally relevant? How do we make sure we're attentive in terms of what's happening for our taxi drivers and our entrepreneurs? But also in this moment, as the only candidate in the race who has White House, State House, and local experience, and the only one who has defeated Donald Trump, you need to elect someone that can represent all of us. And the reason why I'm running is that I have that unique experience and I'm ready to lead if you give me the chance. Again, my name is Michael Blake, and I look forward to the conversation we're going to have tonight.
What is your plan on addressing challenges ELL students face in public schools? And how would you create school communities where ELL students will thrive, feel safe, and feel like they belong?
Well, first, think about the power and beauty of this room right now. We're able to have a mayoral forum where everyone is able to engage because we have multiple languages being spoken consistently. We don't have that happening in New York City schools consistently. And too often we are saying to our children, realize the dream, but we're not helping them to actually hear what's happening with the dream and embrace it. Second, we have to be much more attentive in reimbursing and providing grants for our nonprofits that are our cultural centers to support our education system. Too often, what is going on for too many of our nonprofits of color is that you're being asked to do the work, but then you're being paid months, if not years, down the line. Third, we have to make sure we're bringing you into the process earlier when it comes to culturally relevant education engagement for ELLs. Again, when we think about this, you, me, all of us who come from immigrant backgrounds, too often it is too hard in New York City for people to have a chance to thrive and to win. And that means we got to go a step further. That means we have to make sure that everyone is being protected given what's going on in DC. So when we talk about making sure that we stay as a sanctuary city, that is impacting all of us, whether it be Latino, whether it be Asian, Caribbean, African, all intertwined. It means that we have to make sure that we have more teachers that are coming from the community, who are able to make sure that we're training and encouraging our students, not just in the classroom, but after they leave from the classroom. And it's the reason why I have said that it should be mandatory that every student before they graduates has civics, financial literacy, and mental health, which is connected to our ELLs. Because if everyone is able to be a part of the system and the culture, and able to not only understand what's going on from an academic perspective, but also from a dynamic of how to be a great global citizen, then we all are able to succeed and thrive.
What would be your vision, and what are your policies to build a city where people feel safe?
What are you going to say as mayor? You could say as mayor.
As mayor.
Okay, okay. I'm just saying, help me out now. Let's go further right there. We won't tolerate hate and discrimination against the AAPI community. And you need a candidate that's going to be that direct in saying that. When we talk about enforcing anti-discrimination laws, we got to be serious about that in every regard. And too often people are being very silent, and we won't tolerate that at all. When you talk about the questions around mental health, I have said consistently, we need 1,000 mental health professionals on subways and streets to engage what's going on in our communities as opposed to the NYPD. Because if we have people actually addressing what's happening with mental health, then you reduce the opportunity of it escalating into a greater crisis. Take a step further. We need to make sure that we're creating safe havens for all of our different buildings and community centers, whether it be a place of worship, a nonprofit, otherwise. so that if someone vandalizes it or you, they will be held criminally accountable. Whether it be the small business that you have, whether it be the masjid you go to, whether it be the community center or school, you need to know that there will be legal protections that will happen if someone attacks you in any regard. Right now, that is not happening. Right now, we have a mayor who is effectively being silent against discrimination. And as someone who has endured police brutality myself twice, as someone who has led one of the most diverse communities in this country, I will say to you, Michael Blake, candidate for mayor, I'm asking for your vote because you need to have someone in this seat who's going to protect and fight for you.
How are you planning on investing in the health of children and families across New York City amid these debilitating federal cuts? You have 2 minutes to answer.
What we're seeing out of DC is inhumane. When I worked for President Obama, we created a culture that everyone was actually protected and could realize their dreams. I come to you tonight as someone who is a husband, who is a bonus father of 2 girls, a 16-year-old, 13-year-old. And all of the cuts that will happen will impact communities of color. So when we talk through what's going on around Medicaid, the reason why we have to protect what's happening for Medicaid is that we can increase what's going on maternal health. So we can have more doulas and more midwives be a part of the process. When we think about the impacts on Medicare, it's making sure that our seniors and those that are low income are able to ensure that they can then have the help that they need so that they are not spending so much money on prescription drugs that are too unfair. When we think about other federal benefits, too often when federal benefits are being cut, it is impacting AAPI communities, Black communities, Caribbean communities, and Latino communities the most. And we have to be very clear about what is at stake. We are in an environment right now where you have to ask yourself, who is the candidate that is best prepared to fight against Donald Trump and the attacks that will happen in our communities? And I'm coming to you as someone who has not just the experience, but the vision. I have said the way that we can protect against these cuts. We need a vacant apartment tax for someone who is not utilizing New York City as a primary residence to generate funds for that. We need to reclaim outstanding fines and fees, which is about $2 billion. We need to be intentional about the excessive NYPD overtime. Those funds will allow us to have more funds to protect us in New York City, no matter what's coming in DC.
How do you think city systems should change in order to create a more language-accessible New York City?
We need to stop being a city that everything is about English. I mean, we're a city of immigrants. It's racist, it's discriminatory, it's intellectually lazy and ignorant that everything that's happening in our communities are just in one language. It's also about who do you hire? And I think it's important for you to ask these different campaigns, do they have AAPI team members on their team? It's real nice for folks to talk about what they're going to do, but have they actually done it? And so to that degree, we are in a moment right now where we have to ask ourselves, do you have a vision, a plan, and a way to pay for that plan in this moment? And what we are watching and what we're witnessing is a city government that is not only dysfunctional, but it's harmful. It's not helping the AAPI community be represented. Take it a step further. We need to stop being a government and an entity that seems to believe that the AAPI community is only in Queens. We're all over New York City. I'm in the South Bronx, I know that, right? And we are operating regularly from very limited approaches in how the city is moving. Third, we need to utilize technology for good. If we can track how a flight or food or a package gets to someone, then why are we not utilizing technology so that you can get constituent services directly to your phone that are in the languages and the culturally sensitive ways that you are connected? That is how I envision what government should be. And I'm here to represent you with that kind of mindset and approach.
A quick follow-up to that. Do you have campaign literature in any of the AAPI languages?
We
And
do.
do your staffers, what has the outreach been on the part of your staffers in your campaign to the AAPI community?
Yes to the first question. Second question, one of my guys right there. Omar, wave your hand, okay? Don't be scared, Omar. Come on now, right now, right? You know, show those dimples, Omar, right now, right? So yes to the languages, multiple languages. We've regularly engaged throughout all the different communities, AAPI communities, and we have been consistent in how we mobilize throughout the city to demonstrate that. I don't think anyone deserves to be mayor if they cannot show you how they've been engaging with the AAPI community. Who believes New York is too expensive? Raise your hand. Come on, don't be afraid. Who believes New York City is too expensive? She got both hands up. I like that right there, right? We all agree it is too expensive. And now you have to ask yourself who actually has a plan to fix it. First, we need local median income because area median income is not working for us. It does not make sense that Westchester County and other counties are a part of how we create affordability. Second, we need to end using credit scores for rent and home ownership applications. It is a discriminatory practice that blocks out too many every single day. Third, we need to increase, I see you clapping your hands over there. Third, we need to increase income thresholds because right now you effectively have to be very rich or poor enough to get access to a home, and it's wrong. If we take those very concrete steps, then you actually create the dynamic where you can truly have affordable housing that is proportional to your neighborhood. Next step, when you have 1 out of 8 New York City public school students that are homeless, we got to address the working homeless that is existing right now, and we're not addressing that in a very real way. When you mentioned Pakistan and other communities, it is that appreciation of how we have to be intentional about what's happening right now. Childcare. We need to have a universal childcare that is not just after school, but also on weekends, because if you take that approach, you give a greater opportunity to addressing the fundamental additional expense. I'm coming to you from a dynamic as a small business owner, as a husband, as a father, as a reverend, someone who has served at every level. If you help have truly affordable housing, you help people make and keep more money, and you address what's going on with childcare, and you have true public safety and public transportation at the same time, we can finally have the New York City that we afford to have. We need to strengthen. I only get a minute for this one? Okay. You got a real aggressive timekeeper going right there. Okay, I'm just saying right now. Keeping us on track. I like that. I like that. It says 1 minute and then wrap. I get confused, but I'm just saying, okay. So we need to strengthen and expand the SCREET program, Senior Citizen Rent Income Exemption Program, which is something that would create incredible protections for everyone. We equally need to change and increase the income thresholds when it comes to affordable housing for our seniors. Because too often what is happening is that a senior is wondering, whether it be for their pension or benefits, if I do anything that changes in my income, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my home. It's bad policy. And so what's happening, and this is important in a multi-generational home, you're wondering if there's someone else that's in my home, can they be on our application? Can they be on our paperwork? Because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my home. It's just bad policy that is hurting our communities, and we can do this differently.